kiln-dried logs versus some heat log briquettes. Let's put it to the test. Have you ever wondered what's better, kiln-dried logs versus some heat log briquettes? Let's put it to the test and see what happens. So we're going to do this test side by side. We're going to burn some heat logs with some of the kiln-dried logs together in there, and we're just going to see how it reacts together and just see, look, what lasts the longest and how does it perform throughout the test. So this is how I've got it set up. I've got the kiln-dried logs to the right hand side and I've got the heat logs to the left. So it'll be interesting to see what burns out first, what burns for the longest, and how it reacts with each other. We're about 10 minutes in, and as you can see, the heat logs and the kiln-dried logs have caught really nicely. So about 30 minutes in or so, you can see that the kiln-dried logs have really taken, and they are starting to reduce it inside already. But the heat logs are still fully formed. They are obviously flames all over them. But what you can see is, obviously there's a lot more life in the heat logs still than it is in the kiln-dried logs. Now, the kiln-dried logs work out a little bit more expensive per packet than the Woodlets heat logs. So we're definitely, we're only a half an hour into this test here, and we can already see that the kiln-dried logs are definitely going to be gone before the heat logs. So 1 hour in here, as you can see, the kiln-dried logs have started to break down further again and reduce in size constantly. Like, look how thin that one is there, and that one was about this size when it went in. So you can see drastically they have changed their size. The heat logs are still fully formed, and the heat logs are starting to change shape now, which means that they're starting to open up and release a little bit more heat, and then they'll burn from the inside out as well, which is what you want with the heat logs because they're so dense, the heat logs. So a couple of the key features of, or a couple of the key differences between the kiln-dried and the heat logs is the density and the consistency. You know, with the kiln-dried logs, they're all different sizes, different densities as well, depending on what, kiln-dried wood it is. But the heat logs are very dense. Every single heat log is around about 1 kilo in weight. Like one of these is half that or less probably. Here we are an hour and a half in. The second heat log on top there is broken down, but look at these kiln-dried logs. They are just ash now pretty much, and it's just the heat logs going, which is quite surprising. Now I know that these kiln-dried logs do last approximately an hour and a half each, I would say. So I put 4 of these in originally, and here we are an hour and a half later and they're all gone pretty much, and just the heat logs here, which is not surprising because if you check the channel and just have a little look around, these heat logs are so dense compared to the kiln-dried logs. You just get a lot more burn time from them, you get a lot more heat, and you get a lot more consistency from them as well. When burning your heat logs at this point, so about an hour and a half in or so, what really helps them burn even better is just break them up like this, and as you can see there, so you can see all the new wood inside that hasn't burnt yet. So it kind of burns like a donut, but if you open it up like this, just break it up a little bit like this, and you can see already, look at all those new flames that's coming in. So if you want more heat, then just break them up like that, and it definitely helps towards the burn times and the heat and the consistency. Look at that. So the heat logs are really now starting to kick out some serious heat now that we've just moved them around a bit, split them up a little bit manually by hand from a little poker. You can see the heat that these things are giving off. So 2 hours 10 into the test, you can see the heat logs are doing really well still. They're still pretty much fully formed. They're starting to break down a little bit, but they're still kicking out some tremendous heat, and look at the flames off there. So we're coming up to the 3 hour mark here. And as you can see, the heat logs are still going super strong. We still have, you know, believe it or not, we still have another 30 to 60 minutes here of actually really good heat as well, which is, you know, phenomenal when you think of it. You know, I really like the heat logs. You know, I like kiln-dried logs as well, but bang for your buck in terms of, you know, if you put £100 into heat logs or £100 into kiln-dried logs, the heat logs are going to last you a lot longer, give you a lot more heat, and give you a lot more consistency as well. So what's not to love? 3 hours in, you can see the heat logs are super hot still. Look at that. Just look at that. And let's take a little look at where the kiln-dried logs were. This is the kiln-dried logs over here. And you can see there's no heat there anymore. It's just, you know, really dense ash. But the heat logs themselves, look at them go. Like every single part of the heat logs is pretty much, you know, lit, except this part over here. This part's gone over here on the corner. That's probably got really hot really quick because it was burning with other fuels. But you can see the majority of it. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces there, which is probably 80% of it is still going strong. 3 hours 45 minutes into the test. As you can see, the heat logs have, you know, 80% of the heat log now has broken down and the flames are gone. It's still a fair amount of heat here. You can see the kiln-dried over here is just kind of ash. And all of this stuff now is good for the garden as well. But you can see the heat logs here still going over here. 4 hours and 10 minutes into the test, I would say we can call it quits there. So the kiln-dried logs actually were pretty much out of puff at about the hour and 20, hour and 30 mark. But the heat logs really did just soar on, you know, and you've seen the performance yourself on the video here. You know, and I really do, you know, encourage people to just grab a pack of the Woodlets heat logs and just experiment with them, you know, whether that's in your log burner, your fire pit, your barbecue, your reburn, whatever application you may have for these. You know, you've seen, I actually burn these in the ground, in my DIY fire pit in the ground there. I've got them in my external fire pit that's above the ground here, in my log burner as well, and I actually cook with them as well. So there's so many different varieties and different, you know, uses for these heat logs, and they just outdo the kiln-dried logs in every way, I feel, you know. They come to you with less than 10% moisture. The kiln-dried logs are less than 18% when you get them. You know, so in every way, the heat logs are better, in my opinion. I'd love to know your thoughts about what you saw in this video, or what your thoughts. Have you experimented with heat logs in the past, or do you plan to? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you in the next one.